written treaties. We also acknowledge the Indigenous people who traveled these lands before the written treaties. Today, Chatham-Kent neighbors, the Lenape and Elnapawi-Lakawit, also called Delaware Nation at Moraviantown, and the unceded territory of Bakajwanong, Wapuu Island First Nation, Chatham-Kent continues to be home to diverse First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Chatham-Kent is covered by Treaty 2, the Detroit Treaty of 1790, Treaty 7, Sombre Township Treaty of 1796, and Treaty 25, Longwoods Treaty of 1822. We also recognize that this region is subject to earlier wampum agreements, like the two-row wampum and the dish with one spoon wampum. As beneficiaries of these treaties, we recognize our responsibilities, including our collective responsibilities to the land and water. Please be seated. Mr. Mayor, we do not have a supplementary agenda this evening. Rules of decorum at a council meeting. The municipality of Chatham-Kent supports open meetings that welcome debate of public policy issues in an atmosphere of inclusiveness, integrity, civility, fairness, and respect for differing points of view. Anyone conducting themselves in a way that disturbs, disrupts, or impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting, interrupts or makes derogatory statements or hate speech, defamatory comments about councillors, staff, or speakers, or fellow members of the public may result in removal from the premises. This also applies to deputations. We ask that you do not approach members of council if they are seated in their council seat. The public, unless invited, is not permitted to come into the gated horseshoe area. The use of paper, posters, signage, and literature is also prohibited. Mr. Mayor, for attendance this evening, we have regrets from Councillor MacDonald and Councillor Wright, and participating virtually, we have Councillor C. McGregor. We have two disclosures of pecuniary interest for open session agendas, and those are Councillor Finn with regards to 17C, the OMERS governance changes in Bill 68, and Councillor Jubenville regarding 19D, the motion of Councillor Harrigan regarding summer ice pilot. We'll now move on to the recognitions. And the first recognition, or both, we have two from the Chatham-Kent firefighters, and I'll pass it over to Chief Case.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to call up Station Chief Hodgson, Deputy Station Chief Cobby, and volunteer firefighters Emerson and Chambers with the firefighters of Station 20 and their families, please. Members of Council, you no doubt be aware that every day we have the reasons to be proud of our firefighters, and sometimes we get the opportunity to recognise when they go a little above and beyond. On the 8th of November, a medical call was received for a gentleman who was in distress and vital signs absent. Station Chief Hodgson, Deputy Station Chief Cobby, and volunteer firefighters Emerson and Chambers, it is my honour to commend your outstanding actions on that date. You responded to a medical emergency on Talbot Street West, arriving within moments to begin life-saving care. Working with the crew, you retrieved your medical equipment, initiated CPR, provided oxygen, and administered defibrillation, delivering a shock that restored life. Your quick response, professionalism, and dedication to the public safety contributed to the patient's survival, and we are sincerely appreciated by the municipality of Chatham-Kent. Mr. Mayor, could I call upon you to present the dedication to these four outstanding firefighters with our thanks. No, you go. Thank you very much. Thank you, Boris. Well done. Well done. Now moving on to station 12, I'd like to call Deputy Station Chief Houston to come with what looks like the entirety of Station 12 has come with him. Come on up. The story behind this presentation is an incredible one. So the station chief was asleep in bed and was awoken by a car crash outside his home. And without any thought, he hopefully dressed and then ran out to the car, where he found a car lying on its side, which was becoming engulfed in flames. The chief, with no concern for his own safety, climbed into the vehicle and pulled out the two occupants who were entrapped and unconscious in the vehicle. He managed to do it just before the vehicle became fully engulfed. So, Chief Houston, it's my incredible pride, and your quick response, professionalism and dedication contributed to the survival and the safety of the people, and for that we acknowledge you today, so thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call upon you to make the presentations. Thank you very much. Thank you all. I'd encourage you to return to Station 12 as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, we'll now move on to the second recognition, or third recognition of this evening. We have an artist feature, Eric Philpott, regarding the Dresden 1957 documentary project, and I'll pass it over to Councillor Jubenville.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Eric Philpott is a filmmaker based in Toronto, but don't hold that against him, and those are his words, not mine. He started his career teaching history in Germany, Canada, and the US. He then spent 2 decades doing PR and marketing for film and broadcast technologies. In 1992, he directed a German language production of Thornton Wilder's Our Town, which toured in former East Germany. And without further ado, Eric.
Thank you very much, Rhonda, and thank you for having me this evening. I'm on a mission to tell an incredible Canadian story. Oops, I have to use this. Dresden 1957 is the forgotten story of an excavation collapse that killed 6 immigrant workers here in Chatham-Kent. You're connected to this story because it happened here in Chatham-Kent. And by the way, we just saw firefighters recognized. That night in Dresden, the fire crew, the volunteer fire crew, in fact, for 38 hours, was involved in the difficult and dangerous recovery effort after this cave-in. I'm also connected to this story. The site engineer in that Dresden construction project, a young Englishman, was my father. And the 6 victims of this tragedy were Dutch immigrants, like my mother.
On August 14, 1957, right here in Dresden, Ontario, an excavation collapsed. 6 men were buried alive. It was Ontario's worst workplace tragedy. But today, this story is unknown.
I was 13 years old in 1957 when the accident at Dresden happened, wherein my brother and father were killed.
The accident occurred on a Wednesday evening around 7 o'clock. They were doing overtime. They wanted to finish the job then.
At the time, I don't think there was much safety. You did what you had to do, but whether it was safe or not, no.
I don't understand why those men went down in that hole.
And they were almost finished. Then suddenly the whole pit collapsed.
Every radio station had a bulletin out that a group of men had been buried alive. There was cars all over and trucks and hundreds of people. There was lots of us that was pulling dirt with their hands. When I got down, they were cutting the tubes off of the bodies.
And our family was notified that evening by a knock on the door, and somebody told us there had been an accident.
Between the Ontario Water Resources Commission, the City Council, and the Public Utilities Commission.
The first places that got the attention from the Ontario Water Resources Commission, Essex County, St. Thomas, and interestingly, attention on Dresden.
A lot of the residents were still on well water, and now you have all this new industry coming into town.
They decided that they were going to build down close to the river. I don't know why they did that.
I was rather surprised at this stage to discover that the contractor apparently had no intention of providing any support to the excavation.
Dad felt that the banks of the river couldn't sustain the weight of a structure being placed there.
From the top of the road all the way down the riverbank to the river's edge, it was a long way down.
I actually do recall my brother saying he was not looking forward to going back down in that hole.
They knew they were taking a risk, but their family came first.
We were immigrants, and we had to make a living. You took any job you could get.
Dutch had nothing in Holland. The Germans made sure of that.
The country was destitute. There was no economy left. And right after the war, this push started to come to Canada because they had to go somewhere.
My father and brother worked at Dresden. They thought it was a good job. Normally it was 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, but here they could work longer than that.
Below 10 and 20 feet, the clay, while still varved, is becoming progressively softer.
They had a couple of warnings, apparently.
One day we came in, and they had a small cave-in, and there maybe a truckload of dirt.
The earth was just like pancakes with the sand in between. Earth like that will be movable.
If you push a deck of cards from the side, it's going to slip immediately.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when will it fall.
Especially with deep excavations, compounded further with near vertical side walls. What we know now is that that's a disaster in the making.
Our stories really matter. They tell us who we are. They create value for our communities. They inspire us to what we could be. They show us what we could be. And now especially, there's never been a more important time for us to be telling our Canadian stories. We're halfway through this film, and I forgot to say something. The other reason why this story is important, of course, is to honor at last the memory of these men, the 6 men who died there. We're halfway through this project now. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
We'll now move on to planning services.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. The process to be followed for each application tonight will be as follows. The clerk will announce the item and indicate if any written submissions have been received. The mayor will then ask if anyone is present besides the applicant or agent with an interest to speak to the item and to indicate so by raising their hand. If anyone is present to speak to the item, the administration will have a short presentation. Interested individuals will be asked to approach this podium and address council. The applicant will be given the opportunity to address council at this podium. Council may ask questions of each presenter and the applicant. The administration may comment on any of the discussion that has occurred, and council will decide what action it wishes to take with regards to each item. Council's decisions tonight will be posted on the municipal website. Anyone who made a deputation will receive a notice of decision. Others may request a notice of decision through the municipal clerk, and notice of decision will include appeal rights and procedures. Thank you.
12A, application for zoning bylaw amendment, Tunio Developments, Inc., 23 Louise Street, Community of Tilbury, West Kent. There is no conflict of interest and no deputations were received.
Is there anyone present other than the applicant or the agent with an interest in the application? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Councillor Anderson and Councillor Harrigan, can I each put this on the floor, please?
I'm happy to do that.
And seconded.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
Councillor Bondi?
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0. 12B, applications for consent and zoning bylaw amendment. O Road Farms Limited, 18806 Mull Road, Community of Harwich, South Kent. No conflict of interest and no deputations were received.
Is there anyone present other than the applicant or the agent with an interest in the application? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, Councillor Sakachi and Councillor Doyle, can I get you to put this on the floor, please?
So moved, Mayor Caniff.
And seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0. And the final planning application is 12C, applications for consent and zoning bylaw amendment. John Mifflin, 116 Erie Street North, Community of Raleigh, Merlin, West Kent. No conflict of interest and no deputations were received.
Is there anyone present other than the applicant or the agent with an interest in the application? If so, please indicate by raising your hand. Seeing none, Councillor Harrigan and Councillor Anderson, can I get you to put this on the floor, please?
So moved.
And seconded.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
Just waiting for Councillor Crew. All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0. That ends the planning meeting for this evening. We'll now move on to deputations. Council, this evening we received 9 deputations. The first 8 are on item 19D, the motion of Councillor Harrigan regarding summer ice pilot project. All were received by email only, and they are from Julie Saunowski, Adam Lally, James Edward, Kristen Lang, Mary Lynn Mifflin, Scott Burnett, Joseph Raymakers, and finally the Chatham-Kent Girls Hockey Association. We have no deputations on the Zoom call this evening, and we have 1 in person. This item is on item 18A, the motion of Councillor Bondi regarding encampment response proposal for Chatham-Kent. I'll call Larry Hutchins up to the podium, and I'll remind Mr. Hutchins, as he well knows, the time limit of 5 minutes, and welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, Council. I am before you tonight to speak on item 18A, Councillor Bondi's motion on encampment response proposal for Chatham-Kent. I would like to respond to administration's response to the motion. What Mr. Quinton states about single source purchases is wise and should be listened to. However, Council uses single source purchasing on a regular basis. In fact, item 16B, single source purchase of LifePak 35 paramedic monitor defibrillators on tonight's agenda is just one example of administration recommending single source purchasing. As well, Ms. Gilmay states that extensively org code has been used to develop our current homelessness response, which shows that they have already been vetted by administration as the best option for council to use to supplement our current response. Furthermore, purchasing policy and bylaw 205/2023 allows for single source purchasing when speed is a necessity. Since the mayor joined the Ontario Big City Mayors in asking the province to declare homelessness a state of emergency, it is safe to say that speed is a necessity to this crisis. Just this month, Sudbury lost an encampment dweller to a tent fire. With this brutal cold winter, we need to develop a quicker response to our current situation. Please support this motion. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchins. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. The following items have been pulled for discussion this evening. Items 16A, the request for proposal R24-314, Municipal Public Safety Radio Communication, pulled by Councillor Story. Item 17A, the 2025 Special Events Update and Development Opportunities for Special Events and Together CK Grant Processing, has been pulled for a presentation by administration. Item 17B, Councillor Ward Funding, January 2026 Update, pulled by Councillor B. McGregor. Item 17C, OMER's Governance Changes in Bill 68. There is a presentation by administration, and it's been pulled by Councillor McGrail and Councillor Story. Item 17D, Retirement of the Director of Municipal Governance Clerk, pulled by Councillor Sakachi. Item 18A, motion of Councillor Bondi regarding encampment response proposals for Chatham-Kent, pulled by Councillor Bondi and Councillor Sakachi. Item 19A, the basketball court installation at McGregor Kinsman Park in Blenheim, pulled by Councillor Sakachi. Therefore, the remaining items will be on the consent agenda to be voted in one motion, and those items are 15A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 16B, C, D, 17, all of 7, no, 17 is excluded, 18 is excluded, 19B and C, and D, sorry.
Madam Clerk, I noticed that you did not declare a conflict of interest for 17D.
There's a huge pecuniary interest in that one.
Councillor Doyle and Councillor McGrail, can I get you to put the consent agenda on the floor, please?
Happy to move that.
And I will second.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0.
Item 16, tender awards.
16A, request for proposal R24-314, Municipal Public Safety Radio Communication.
Councillor Story and Councillor Juvenile, can I get you to put this on the floor, please?
Happy to move that, Mr. Mayor.
And seconded.
Councillor Story, go ahead.
Thank you. I fully support this. I just had a couple of questions to clarify. Not sure it's the best part. Hello, how are you?
Thank you, Mayor Kaniff. My name is Femi Popola, Project Manager on this initiative.
Thanks for your time tonight. I just had a couple of questions to clarify from the report. The The 9% contingency seemed a very specific number. Could you expand a little more on why you chose the 9%? Thank you.
So solely this was expert judgment and information from our technical consultant. Just to put in context, this is more of an technology implementation. From what you probably referred to will be more of the construction side of things, but this is more of the technology implementation, right? So the 9% mostly came from that judgment from our technical consultant, and we're using that as a base reference.
Okay, thank you. I know there's also a reference a few times to additional and other municipal expenses for about $761,000. Could you expand a little bit on what that entails? Thank you.
Yes. Three things majorly. One will be from the ISED licensing fee, so Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada, which is more of a license for authorization to use radio frequencies and equipment. So that's one aspect of it, and the total for that is $474,203 over 10 years. And then we have a consultation contract fees also included. At this moment, that has not been awarded, but we'll be following with the municipalities' procurement laws. And that is estimated at $200,000 over 2 years. And then the HST totaling this amount of $761,000, which you have there in the RFP.
Thank you. And then just two final questions. It's mentioned in the report that the telecom lifecycle reserve will go into deficit temporarily. Now, does that mean we wouldn't have funds available in that budget line for other needs, or is this reserve fund specifically for this project?
That's correct. Solely for this project, and what we envisage is no major concerns, but then this telecom lifecycle reserve is solely for this.
And I had a question forwarded to me from one of the councillors who wasn't able to attend tonight about Clearville Park in Ward 3 in eastern Chatham-Kent. I apologize, I didn't have a chance to review this with you ahead of time, but apparently there is not a great signal for emergency systems in Clearville Park. Would it be possible to pay, do you have any idea of the system that will be applied in that part of the municipality and whether or not we're paying close attention to make sure that that service can reach all the way to Clearville? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. So through all this RFP process, that was definitely one of the areas that we've focused on. There's currently some technology there that's going to be replaced as part of this refresh as well.
Great, and you'll be testing all of that as part of the installation and everything else?
100% tested
Okay.
end to end.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no other questions, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0.
Item 17, Chief Administrative Office.
17A, the 2025 Special Events Update and Development Opportunities for Special Events and Together CK Grant Processing. My understanding is Victoria's here, but Kelly Bacchus is Supervisor of Special Events, and she's also on the call.
As Judy said, and I'm the Supervisor of Special Events here at the municipality. I'm pleased to present an overview of the 2025 Special Events season and highlight the work our team has undertaken to support community vibrancy across Chatham-Kent. Tonight's presentation will walk through the year's key results and growth of our event and the feedback that we've been hearing from organizers and the opportunities ahead as we move through 2026. As you can see, Special Events team is part of the Community Culture and Connections Division through the Community Attraction and Promotion area. Together, our team works to make Chatham-Kent a welcoming, vibrant, and connected community where people want to live, work, invest, and participate. Today, we will be looking back at events in 2025 and highlighting the many ways Special Events contributes to and supports this broader work. When we look at the role of special events in our community, it's important to recognize that these aren't only recreation activities. They're cultural events and strategic investments in the social and economic health of the municipality. Special events build community connections, foster belonging and inclusion, strengthen our local economy, celebrate cultural identity, and encourage civic participation. Together, these outcomes form the building blocks of a strong, connected, and thriving community. I'd like to now walk you through the 2025 special events by the numbers. It'll provide a clear snapshot of activity, growth, and community impact across Chatham-Kent. In 2025, the municipality approved a total of 191 special events across our communities. As in previous years, the bulk of the event activities occurred during the warmer months, with most events taking place between May and September, reflecting both strong community engagement and the favorable conditions that support outdoor programming. Overall, the 2025 season demonstrated continued demand for diverse, community-driven events that contribute to local vibrancy and economic activity. We also continue to see strong event activity across all 6 wards in Chatham-Kent, demonstrating that community engagement is happening in every corner of our municipality. Our 2025 event season also showcased a wide range of community activities. Parade-style events, along with community walks and runs, were the most common, representing about 27% of all of our approved events. Small community gatherings followed at around 18%, highlighting the ongoing demand for local community-level events. Rounding out the top 3 were holiday-themed events at 15%, which continue to draw strong participation from residents and visitors alike. We are also seeing some shifts in the event offerings. Fireworks displays were once more common at community celebrations, have decreased in recent years due to the rising cost and a limited number of available service providers. As a result, many organizers have opted for alternative forms of entertainment. This year we saw our first drone show in Chatham-Kent. Operationally, events continue to require significant municipal coordination. As shown earlier, 49% of all events required a road closure, and 20% included alcohol service. Depending on the event size and scope, up to 16 municipal departments may be involved in the review and approval process, as well as in event day support. From a communication standpoint, even the smallest events require considerable engagement. Small events may involve 5 to 15 touch points, medium events can take 15 to 40, and large events or festivals require 50 to over 100 communication touch points. Collectively, these figures highlight not only the diversity of events in our community, but also the extensive behind-the-scenes work required to support them. As we move into the next part of the presentation, I'd like to highlight the continued success of the Main Street Credit Union stage. 2025 marked the second year of this partnership, and the stage has quickly become a key feature in supporting community programming, live entertainment, and event activation across Chatham-Kent. Its growing visibility and popularity reflect the strong value of this collaborative investment in our local event landscape. In 2025, the stage was booked for 20 events, including 7 multi-day bookings, reflecting growing interest from organizers in its versatility as a mobile performance asset. Events featuring the Main Street stage collectively welcomed 113,400 attendees, showing just how significant the stage has become in drawing people together and enhancing large-scale and community-level programming. Importantly, the stage traveled to 8 different communities across Chatham-Kent, ensuring residents throughout the municipality had access to high-quality entertainment infrastructure and strengthening vibrancy across the region. Beyond the success of the Main Street Credit Union stage, 2025 was also a year of significant progress for special events as a whole. We saw events taking place across the entire municipality, strengthening local engagement and ensuring residents everywhere had opportunities to participate. Special events continue to prioritize strong customer service and hands-on event support, helping organizers navigate logistics, planning requirements, and event day needs. In addition, we introduced 2 new capacity building workshops designed to support organizers and strengthen the local event landscape. The first focused on grant writing and special event permitting, helping organizers better access funding and understand municipal requirements. The second, CK Connects Events Edition, brought organizers together for networking, learning from our public health partners, and identifying common roadblocks faced in planning events. These workshops represent an important step in building a more connected, well-supported, and resilient event community, something we will continue to grow and expand upon based on feedback provided to further support event organizers moving forward. As we reflect on these successes, it's important to share what we're hearing from event organizers. Organizers are seeking more resource development, expanded access to event infrastructure, and additional collaboration opportunities, all of which we aim to support through expanded capacity building workshops in 2026. But one of the most consistent themes is the need for process improvements and a more streamlined application pathway. We've heard clearly and repeatedly from event organizers about that need, which is why we're eager to move ahead with the digitization of the event process through eProval. eProval would be a significant step towards simplifying the special event application experience for organizers and improving our internal coordination. Some of the key benefits to eProval are just that, a streamlined application process. eProval allows event organizers to submit permit applications online. It reduces paperwork and manual handling of PDF documents and email chains. Applicants can upload required documents, track progress, and receive notifications in one platform. Past application content can be accessed by special event organizers and reused to initiate repeat event applications, which will reduce the burden on event organizers and supporting records management capacity. It will also allow for a centralized workflow for multiple departments. eProval centralizes communication and approvals, ensuring everyone works from the same system, and in turn reduces delays. It will allow for more transparency and real-time tracking. Organizers can see the status of their application at any time, which enhances their knowledge and reduces phone calls and emails. Municipal staff can monitor progress and identify bottlenecks quickly. It will also improve our compliance and risk management for special events. Built-in templates and checklists help ensure all regulatory requirements are met and reduces the risk of missing critical safety or insurance documentation. We will see efficiency and cost savings. Repetitive tasks like sending reminders and generating reports are automated. It will reduce administrative time, freeing staff to focus on those great capacity building workshops with special event organizers and community engagement that we chatted about earlier. It will also allow us to track data and reports better. It will provide analytics on event types, locations, and approval timelines. It'll help the municipalities make data-driven decisions for future planning and reduce duplication of data and files that is on. Looking ahead, our opportunity is clear to continue building a stronger, more connected, and more vibrant event landscape for all of Chatham-Kent. I encourage Council to join us in supporting these next steps so we can continue to reduce barriers, enhance service, and enable the kind of events that bring our communities to life. Together, we can ensure that events in Chatham-Kent not only happen, but thrive. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Any questions? Councillor Scotchy.
Thank you, Mayor Canada. Just a quick comment. I just wanted to pass on some recognition to Kelly. A lot of the people that I've spoke who that's been doing events for a long time has spoke very positively about the smooth transition yourself and how much easier it is since you've been involved in this position. So just really wanted to publicly give you kudos. I know you deal with a lot of people and you make a lot happen in our community. So just wanted to pass on some sincere thanks on behalf of council and the community. So thank you.
Scotchy, while I got you, can I have you move the motion?
So moved.
Councillor Story, can I have you second it?
Happy to second it, Mr. Mayor.
And I'll move the floor to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kelly, for the presentation. Just a few quick questions. I was manager of culture and special events here many, many, many lifetimes ago, so I am excited to hear about this new software and this new approach. A quick question about the $118,000. Is that the total cost for the 3 years, or is that per year? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That will be the cost for the 3-year pilot project.
Great. So if you divide that by the number of applications, that's basically $110 per application. I think a pretty reasonable return on investment. There's a mention of using the reserves to pay for this software. Can you clarify that this wouldn't be taking away any money from the grant or event applications? This would be separate from that? Thank you.
From the special events reserve, we do not anticipate that it would take away from any of the other opportunities that exist.
If I may, thank you, Councillor Story, for the question. So over the past couple of years, because we knew that the desire and the goal was to actually digitise the entire process, some unspent funds in the special events areas we're waiting to do this project have been put away into a Community Culture and Connections Reserve, and that's essentially what's funding this initiative, together with some additional resources from the Together CK Reserve.
Okay, thank you. And just a final quick question. I know when, pardon me, there's a transition to an online service. Not everyone in the public is maybe comfortable with the online approach. I know you mentioned it in the report, but just for the folks watching at home, you'll be available, Kelly, you and your team, and I think you might have mentioned service center staff. For folks who are not comfortable using the online system or just need a little extra help, you'll be there to support them through that process, correct?
Correct. That is our plan to offer some of those capacity building workshops as well as work with our community through those process steps. That was a big piece of when we met with other municipalities that utilize it, making sure that there's significant training done for both our internal team and our external partners.
Great. Thank you very much.
Seeing no other questions, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
And Councillor Bondi's gone. All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0. 17B, Councillor Ward funding, January 2026 update.
Councillor B. McGregor, you had a question.
Yeah, I was happy to see this report come forward. I know this is a newer program for us, and it's interesting to see, just the variety of projects that have been supported through the funding. Understanding that the commitments for funding, I think, have to be wrapped up by April. My question was just, could we have the same itemized list and including a list by councillor of what projects have been supported once the program wraps up? I think for transparency, that would be helpful to have online, so that folks that have applied or haven't applied can just see what types of things were forwarded to us and what was approved, and can kind of see that impact on the community. I'm not sure if I need a motion to get that posted with that information, or if that's just something that we can facilitate.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we can do that, yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
17C, OMER's governance changes in Bill 68. We have a presentation by Dave Taylor, the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer.
Good evening, Council. This slide deck is actually produced from AMO and MEPCO, and it is available in the package. It was on the agenda as well. So not going to spend a ton of time going through all of the slides. Really just wanted to cover a few components of these just as a bit of a background. This is a significant concern for municipalities. I think the description that AMO has kind of put to what's being proposed here to change the way that this pension plan is being governed is another example of provincial overreach into municipal operations. A bit of a really quick history of this area of concern. Just a few years back, 2006, so going back a decent amount of years back, there was really an independent structure created. It's kind of two corporations, Sponsors Corporation and Administrator Corporation. The Sponsors Corporation is where municipalities and pensions kind of sit. Representatives for each of those groups sit, including retirees, and they determine a bunch of things like contribution rates and designs, and they actually make appointments to the Administrator Corporation, who then actually administers financial decisions, things like that. Here's a list, it's in the slide deck, of all the different organizations that are part of the Sponsor Corporation, municipalities, and a number of unions, and then a bunch of other employers who also contribute to the pension plan for their employees. What happened that seems to have given rise to this is a review of contribution rates. So that's how much money gets put in for each employee. Kind of determined that lower wage employees were effectively subsidizing higher wage employees in the contribution rates that were being calculated. And so with that, the corporation kind of recommended a change to these contribution rates, effectively meaning that higher wage earners were having to put more money in. The result is the Ontario Police Association, the Ontario Professional Firefighters Association, and Metrolinx asked for a governance review. And the province essentially puts a report out or has somebody do a review, comes out with a report. The special advisor makes very significant recommendations on changes to governance. And now changes to governance sometimes isn't the most interesting kind of discussion, but it's really important to understand why it matters is that what the province is proposing effectively eliminates one of those two corporations, the one that municipalities and unions have, the sponsors corporation, and it replaces it with a council, much less authority, much less power. And then at the same time gives very significant authority to the minister, a provincial minister. AMO is flagging, like I'm no pension expert myself, but AMO is flagging that raises real concerns about future decision making, right? So now it's more like a political appointee is going to be partially involved in this. The minister has more powers about setting rules for the sponsors council and things like that. And so it's an example now of the province taking these powers back. In 2006, they created this independence. Now they're taking that back and putting it in the minister's hands. And if that power is used appropriately, no problem. But the worry then is special interests, political decision making can happen, and that can cause negative implications for the pension. Why does that matter? Why do municipalities need to care? Is because you fund this essentially, right? Taxpayers fund the contributions through their employees that work for municipalities, whether it's firefighters or public works employees or any number of our employees. Municipalities contribute to it. And so functionally, the taxpayers of our community and all communities across Ontario pay money into paying for all of this. And so if the decisions are going to be maybe more political in nature, if they're not managed well in the future because of a lack of this independence, the upshot of that is a greater risk to taxpayers of our community, of all communities across Ontario that ultimately have to fund this, if there's some sort of shortfall in the future. So that's what really gets from kind of a governance discussion about how OMERS, the pension, is organized, to a real practical on the ground of what might the people around this horseshoe in the future have to deal with it if there was some sort of shortfall. And so the big ask from AMO, this is an association of municipalities for Ontario, really neutral body that just provides good policy advice to all councils, is pass the resolution that's in your package tonight, sending a letter to your MPPs, sending a letter supporting Roma and passing this resolution to say, back off of this change province. For clarification, they passed the legislation. So it kind of went, the report came out very quickly, the province had legislation in place and they passed that legislation in December. So it's really asking them to reverse course on this, to talk to AMO, to work with municipalities in order to solve any governance issues that might have been identified. But this approach that they've taken, which is give significant reduction in power to municipal sponsors corporation and add a tremendous amount of power to the minister's office, that's not the right approach. So council, happy to take questions, council. As I said, it's a AMO requested resolution is what's being proposed to you tonight.
Councillor McGrail and Councillor Story, can I get you to put this on the floor, please?
Yes, I'll put that on the floor. I just have some comments afterwards.
Happy to second, Mr. Chair.
Councillor McGrail, go ahead.
Thank you. Through the mayor. I heard about this in December through my Roma and through the advocacy of Roma and then through AMO. It came a red flag, and definitely as we discussed it in December, it was a very big discussion at Roma this year and going forward. And I think what we need to remember as councillors, personally, we don't have OMERS, we don't have any pensions like that, but we do need to watch this and make sure that it is in the right hands, because if there is a shortfall, it's coming on us and our taxpayers. So that's the biggest part of that, is that we need this to be fair, without prejudice, and moving forward, I believe that it needs to be re-engaged and discussions need to be had. Thank you.
Councillor Story.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Dave, for that update. Certainly has been a common topic of conversation at a lot of meetings I've been attending as well. I looked OMERS up quickly. 640,000 members, $142 billion in assets, over 1,000 employers. So we're not talking about an insignificant amount of money here. Was AMO or MEPCO or any other municipal association permitted to participate in this review by the province? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I understand when that special advisor who produced this report that ultimately gave rise to this change in legislation that the province has passed, they did a number of outreach, as you can imagine, but it really looked like it was more of like a meeting to get feedback. As I understand it, the report once tabled was not then, there wasn't a time for feedback from these different groups. And so it was kind of tabled and then very quickly became legislation, which was a major concern, as Councillor McGrail noted at Roma. There was a lot of discussion over this, and that timing, how quickly the advice drops and how quickly the legislation was passed is a significant area of concern. So there really wasn't that meaningful engagement on what they were proposing here, which is why we're kind of working off of our back foot after the legislation's passed.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a red flag, to be sure. Have we crunched the numbers yet for how this might impact both Chatham-Kent employees and Chatham-Kent taxpayers? If I remember one of our last discussions, we have about 2,300 staff. So again, we'd have not an insignificant number of people that could be impacted by this, and then as a result, our taxpayers as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. No, we don't have those specific numbers of going through what everybody's contribution rate would be. What it would mean is actually, as I said, the thing that gave rise to it on those earlier contribution rates were that lower paid persons will actually contribute less, higher paid persons would contribute more. The result of the kind of delta between that, I don't know what that would be. But also the future costs of this, as I talked about, those are really just unknown because it comes down to what could plan management look like? Is there going to be good decisions making about those billions of dollars you were referring to? We just don't have any visibility on that. It's more about structures, the appropriate structure in place is what we're talking about.
Thank you. As you mentioned provincial overreach into municipal responsibilities, which seems to be a theme this term. Thank you very much.
Seeing no, Councillor Harrigan.
Thank you for the presentation, Dave. This is the second time in as many meetings that someone's come to council and shared with us that there's been a governance change and it's already been approved at the provincial level, but we're going to write the letter to say that we don't support the legislation that's already been in place. And so I'm happy to support the resolution, but I guess my question is, I'm referring to the Conservation Act from previous council meeting. So I'm happy to support the resolution and to distribute the letters, but I guess my question is it's already passed, so in theory it's already set, the wheels are set in motion for these governance changes to happen. How do we at the municipality know when the province has like pressed go? Like, are we just going to get a new email from a OMERS person at the ministry, or right? Like, are we? I feel like a little bit like we're in a bit of a state of limbo with some of these governance changes, and it's becoming, as was mentioned earlier, like a bit of a pattern.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councillor, for the question. I think on this one, they passed the legislation that changes it. They will start operating this way. There will be a new council. The hope is, and of course, as I said, we're working off of our back foot when this has already changed. This will proceed forward. But the hope is if there was a significant groundswell of support, you can imagine a minister saying, it's a governance thing. Why do councils care? But if we explain really what the upshot of it is, and a lot of municipalities pass a motion like this, maybe they actually stand up and notice and think, okay, do we need to go back and change that legislation? Do we need a new discussion with these groups about what we've done and what the implications of that will be? So, this will proceed forward if there's no change. The hope is at least just get it to the current government and say, we do care about this. This has a potential impact on our citizens and our taxpayers and our employees. Do something about it and maybe we can get some traction there.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes. Oh, sorry. Right. Councillor Finn has a conflict. Sorry. Motion passes 14-0. (17D) Retirement of Director of Municipal Governance Clerk.
Councillor Sakatchi.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. Just didn't want to miss the opportunity to pull this item just because I don't know if they're taking motions from the floor that we can extend her employment for a couple of years. I don't know if...
Point of order, that's a motion out of order.
No, in all seriousness, I just wanted to if Madam Clerk is giving a year's notice, that puts some of us maybe no longer around this table. So just wanted to take the opportunity to thank her for, I know she's got 1 year left, but just to thank her. And personally, on a personal note, I'll just never forget the filing my papers and how amazing you were to talk to and comfortable you made us feel, knowing that this was a huge step, and just very grateful for your dedication to us. And as a council, you put a lot of time and effort behind the scenes, so just didn't want to miss an opportunity, because who knows where everybody will be in a year, to say thank you.
Item 18, Health and Human Services.
18A, motion of Councillor Bondi regarding encampment response proposal for Chatham-Kent.
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I've amended the motion, so is that okay? Did I make the amendment? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, I'll just read it off. That administration be directed to prepare a report and propose key RFP terms for an evaluation of the current encampment response in transitional cabins project with a maximum budget of $55,000. The intention of the RFP is to secure a consultant with expertise in the field of housing and homelessness to provide a review of the current homelessness situation in Chatham-Kent, review best practices undertaken in other municipalities, review the practices and operations of Chatham-Kent, and produce a report that can recommend any enhancements and potential changes to the approach to encampments and the transitional cabins project in Chatham-Kent. The report is to return to council for consideration and voting, including a recommended funding source.
Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Jumonville.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. It's pretty straightforward. Where did this come from? I went to a conference in October, a national conference on homelessness, and I met a consultant there, a consulting group. This was a big conference. There was like 400 speakers, 3,000 people in attendance, so there's a lot going on. So there was a lot to glean out of it, one of which was continuity. And what these people do, and the reason why I think this is a good idea, not these people, whoever gets the RFP, if in fact council does approve it, is what I see basically neutral eyeballs coming in here and taking a look at this, because this is this issue, this crisis that we have. Frankly, I don't think we know what we're doing. Because we haven't had this problem. Like Toronto's been dealing with this for 25 years, right? So they're looking back on what they've done and what they have done correctly, what they've done incorrectly. This was kind of a grenade in Chatham-Kent. It just sort of went off. From COVID forward, we all of a sudden had a homeless crisis, which we had a homeless problem before. I don't know that it was, well, I think we can all agree it wasn't what it is today. So what we have, I think, from, I've been involved with this a little bit, and I've heard from a lot of constituents, and we're doing our best, but we have Rock Missions, Hope Haven, the municipality, 5,000 opinions on what we should do. So Chatham's not a very big place. There's a lot of people know each other. There's a lot of egos in play. There's a lot of preconceived notions of who people are and what they do. So what I'm hoping, and again, I can't predict what these people will come back with, is that a neutral group from outside of Chatham-Kent can come in, evaluate what we're doing, and make recommendations that we can agree on. Because frankly, I don't, and again, no fault of anybody, but I really don't think what we're doing is the right thing. Like, one thing that was universally seemed to be kind of agreed upon at this conference was that these outdoor encampments are not good for residents of the encampment, residents of the areas around the encampments. And the strong message was that encampments, any encampment over 8 to 12 people becomes problematic. There's hierarchy, there's conflict, etc. So that was just one thing I took out of it. But I would like council to have this presented properly by, again, an outside group that's going to look at what we're doing and make suggestions, not based on the history of Rock or of Hope Haven or of the municipality's housing department, but they come in, they're neutral. And that's about it. It's pretty, obviously I can't say what they're going to do because we haven't given them any money, so they don't reveal, too much. You got to pay them for that. That's about the long and short of it. So thank you.
Councillor Juvenile, do you have anything?
I just think it's important to explore the options to mitigate the negative effects of homelessness and the encampment and our response to it. I feel that we're at a bit of a standstill with our response, and I believe it's prudent to look for options and procure outside help to assist the municipality in navigating the homelessness crisis. So that's why I support this.
Councillor Scacchi?
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. Just a question to the CAO. Sorry in advance, I didn't. All this that's being asked in this report, is this not reports that we've already received already? I know it's not coming from a consultant that Mr. Bondi talked to, but I was just concerned, just wanted to see. We've read a lot of reports on this, and do some of our staff not have a background in this particular field?
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. There's some staff from housing that may want to comment on that as well. Certainly our view is that we have experience with it. I realize that, to Councillor Bondi's point, certainly the public encampments have made people much more aware of the homelessness problem in Chatham-Kent, but it's existed for quite some time. It's just that many people, other than our staff and other than those agencies that deal with it, were just not made aware of it. We've had a number of people living in the bush for a while. We certainly think we have an understanding of what we're doing, and we have access to all the studies that have been done by AMO. Someone mentioned earlier today, obviously, the work that's being done by the big city mayors as well. So we have access to the information and resources from other municipalities like Toronto and the others that have been dealing with it certainly publicly longer than us. But having said that, that's council's prerogative. If you want to spend more money on a consultant, you're entitled to do that. I would say that the local condition still is important. Even if you do bring in a consultant that has experience in another municipality, I think it is relevant to speak to the folks who are dealing with the staff and the clients locally. But I'll turn it over to Josh. I know Jody Gilmet's not here today, but perhaps Josh, if the chair is okay, might be able to speak to that too.
I think it covered most of what I would certainly say. I think you've really covered everything I'd say.
Just I guess since Mr. Myers is on the mic right now, I do have a question for him. Just when I brought several of my affordable housing motions forward, as well as the transitional cabin program, one thing that I had the opportunity to do is to hear from Josh and his team, and maybe Josh, if you don't mind just elaborating just very briefly, how much consultation went into other communities when you were looking at a transitional program, and how many times was that kind of mentioned in the reports, how we decided to do things, and if there was consultation with neighboring communities like Hamilton?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that, Councillor. That I'm much more comfortable with, and it's a recognition of I'm going back in time and on the work that we did at that time. And so at that time, when we brought forward recommendations for the transitional cabin program, it was done after reviewing a number of other communities like Peterborough that just launched that program. We did extensive consultation with those who are currently experiencing homelessness, but there was also from a place of recognition that as a community and the funding that we were receiving from higher levels of government, we could not afford to do everything that we needed to do. And so when we brought forward those recommendations, a lot of it was based on us recommending that model over an emergency shelter, recognizing that, again, that's not going to solve homelessness, but it was providing a temporary solution, while at the same time pushing forward that unless we get supportive housing into the community, we're not going to see the progress that we need. at the same time, if we're not seeing the changes to the systemic issues that are driving this, like social assistance rates or limited mental health and health programs, this is going to continue to grow. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing. With respect to what's happening in other communities right now, promising practices, I am confident that Kim and the team are constantly reviewing this. We do participate in services from the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness. But if that's not to say that there's not potentially something else out there that could be explored.
Thank you. And just in closing, I mean, we always talk about how many consultants that we use here, and that has a negative narrative, but I mean, I'm happy to support something if we're looking for additional solutions. I guess I just didn't want to, some of the narrative that's come from this motion has been directly related to maybe the capability of our staff and things that we have or haven't looked at. And I think that a lot of this information has been provided in a lot of reports. And I also don't, there's no perfect solution for homelessness. I don't think anybody here wants an encampment, but I just want to make sure that, you know, this isn't being blamed on staff or anything like that. This is a systematic issue.
Councillor B. McGregor, followed by Councillor Crew.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of what Councillor Scotch just said, to be honest. So I know I've heard over a number of years a fair amount of criticism on our use of consultants and what we should be doing in-house. So I mean, I do recognize that this is another use of a consultant possibly outside of Chatham-Kent. And similar to Councillor Scotch's comments, I think it's clear we have really significant expertise in this area in-house, not just expertise on homelessness, housing, all those challenges, but also local expertise and how those challenges impact our community and the framework that we work under in the municipality. So I think it's important to recognize that we've had a lot of really challenging work that's been done over the past, and some innovative work as well. I mean, it's a little bit funny to read some posts from Windsor councillors praising some of the innovation in Chatham-Kent and looking at us as an example. So that I think that stands a good reflection of the work that's happened here. I do wonder that if we get these results back and they just reinforce the things that we're already doing, or even just recognize the needs that we know are unmet, will that change our commitment to those types of solutions? So I know that we have coming down the road expensive types of solutions, or I wouldn't say solutions, but Band-Aids or strategies to try to mitigate impact that include, you know, increased investment in housing options. But if we see that this report tells us, hey, you need to do more of what you're already doing and sometimes not willing to do, are we going to do it? So I don't know if the correct term is saying this is a neutral point of view. I don't think there's much discrepancy when you read the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness literature, when you sit in the sessions at AMO. It's pretty clear what's going on. Social supports are low, housing's expensive, there's not enough resources. So I don't know how different the solution is going to be, and how much that really matters when we look at the scale of the problem and the fact that we do recognize that we're really only band-aiding what we can when those systemic underpinnings are not really going to change. So just a note of caution, when we're maybe thinking we're going to get a magic bullet for $55,000, we probably won't.
Councillor Crew, followed by Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councillor Sakachi and Councillor B. McGregor, so I won't say much, but so I want to clarify what we're asking for. Is this to get a report back to look that will have RFP terms in it with a maximum budget of $55,000, and where's that money coming from? Pardon?
Bottom is asking for a recommended source.
Okay. Anyway, so is that what we're asking for, though? It's just a report to come back and then we'll vote on it? I just want to be clear. It's changed. So is that?
Mr. Taylor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Councillor Crew, that would be what the motion, if passed, would produce. So it would be a report coming back to council. It would include then those RFP terms to make sure that what's being delivered to council is what you want to see in terms of there's a review of what council believes will be a valuable review. And that report would come back also including a funding source at that point. So rather than the previous motion that was on the floor was really directly appointing a specific consultant, this would be produce a competitive procurement approach, come back to council to make sure that it's addressing what council believes is necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Hall?
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. Yeah, I appreciate, Councillor Bondi's motion and amendment here. Obviously, whenever you have a crisis and a big problem, it's want to do everything we can to try to solve it and do what we can. I think our staff has done that, and I think us as council, considering the situation, we've done everything we can, and we'll continue to do that. Also appreciate Councillor B. McGregor and Councillor Sakachi's comments. I just want to make a point. I know we're going to be having an encampment advisory committee appointed soon. I'm just wondering if that, if we might want to wait before we start having staff dedicate time to putting a report together. Why don't we wait till this committee is formed and have these conversations, see what our local people are saying about what they're seeing, what the individuals that will be on that committee will talk about. I think that would make sense to wait for that. And see, maybe that's something that we need to, that'll come from that committee, that we need to go have a third party look at, the process that we're taking. But I think from my perspective, it would make sense to wait till the committee's in place and make that an agenda item for them. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Juneville, you have any final words? Councillor Bondi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your comments. Yeah, the idea that our staff has looked at what other communities have been doing, sure, of course they have. So what this would accomplish, I hope, and again, what they would do, they would make recommendations tailored to Chatham-Kent. So we can look at Peterborough, we can look at Hamilton, and that's good. Obviously, that's what we should be doing, but they're going to look at us. They're going to look at us, not us look at us, because we're not going to see things objectively. We can't. Like, we've all known each other for 35, well, in my case, 45 years, but or 57. But that it's having the outside neutral organization take a look at us and what we're doing and offer recommendations. And, I've heard, well, it's another consultant. Well, we just talked about a consultant 90 minutes ago. This is $55,000. It's not really a ton of money in the scheme of things when it comes to our consulting fees. I'm sure it's chicken feed. But what are they going to bring back? Of course, we don't know, because you have to pay them. They're not going to, give you dinner and then ask, if you want to pay for it after. That's just not the way the world turns. But this is an international organization. They work all across America, Canada, and Australia. So they must be doing something right, because they're in business. And again, it's a bit of a, obviously it's a bit of a gamble, because I don't know what they're going to do. And maybe it's a waste of money, but I think it's worth it. I don't think it's going to be a waste of money. I'm just being devil's advocate that they're going to bring us back nothing of any value, and we already know all of this stuff. So yeah, am I asking council to take a bit of a chance? Well, I'm not asking anybody to take a chance on anything tonight. It's just to approve an RFP being written. Then we would approve it. So we're not approving the actual consultant or the money this evening. We're just approving moving forward with it. And again, I think this is it's a worthy enough problem, and I think I picked the right night to bring it up. It's going to be minus 20 degrees outside, and we got a ton of people sleeping outside. Not that they're going to fix that. Nobody's going to fix it. If homelessness could have been fixed, Los Angeles would have done it 50 years ago. So we all know that it's not going to fix. It's just going to be an examination of our approach, and I think it's worth the money. If we get anything out of it, this is human lives we're talking about. We're talking about people living outside, right? So I think it's worth the $55,000. That's if somebody bites. I don't know. Maybe we don't get a response to our terms. But again, that would be something for council to determine later. And as far as Councillor Hall talking about the advisory committee, well, that's been a long time in the formation, I guess. And that's a grassroots group that's going to make recommendations to council. That's what these guys are going to do, but they're professional. They've been all over many communities looking at the same problem. So again, I think it's worth the money, and I'm not asking for us to spend the money tonight, just to move forward with it. And that's everything. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll put it to vote.
Counselor C. McGregor?
No.
Counselor Thompson? All votes are in. Motion passes 10-5.
Item 19, infrastructure and engineering services.
19A, basketball courts installation at McGregor Kinsman Park in Blenheim.
Councillor Sakatchi and Councillor Anderson, can you move this, please?
So moved, Mayor Caniff?
Councillor Sakatchi, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Caniff. I just wanted to recognize the two partners in this project. This will be besides racquetball courts, this is the first actual hard surface playing surface in Blenheim. That would be municipal asset. So I just wanted to recognize both the Ridge Landfill Community Trust and Hydro One, and just a great project that's going to be for decades to be utilized by our youth, and just wanted to offer my appreciation.
Seeing no other questions, then we'll put it to vote.
Counselor C. McGregor?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 15-0.
Okay, we'll go to notice of motion. I got three of them, Councillor Crew, Sakatchi, and Juvenville. So Councillor Crew, if you can start, followed by Councillor Sakatchi. Are you ready? I can go to somebody else first. Councillor Sakatchi, are you ready? All right.
Yep, sure.
Then Councillor Juvenville and Councillor Crew.
Whereas the municipality currently partners with a community agency in Chatham, and where it's consistently reported that homelessness is growing in all communities within Chatham-Kent, and whereas a transportation option provided to individuals to get to and from the warming centers this year, and uptake to the transportation has been reportedly low. Be it resolved that Council direct administration to investigate and identify the need for warming centers in communities within Chatham-Kent beyond central Chatham for days of extreme cold weather with existing data available, and report back to Council so partnerships can be explored in advance of extreme weather conditions.
Councillor Juvenville, followed by Councillor Crew.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I, Councillor Rhonda Juvenville, bring forward the following notice of motion for discussion and voting at the February 9th council meeting. Whereas the municipality of Chatham-Kent supports harm reduction services through community partners to reduce health risks associated with substance abuse, and whereas Pathways on Park is a municipally supported transitional housing site with an expectation of safety, order, and compliance with site rules, including restrictions on substance abuse substance use, and whereas concerns have been raised regarding public disorder, off and on-site substance use, and misalignment between the site rules and service delivery practices. Therefore, be it resolved that Council directs staff to immediately review the alignment of harm reduction service delivery at Pathways on Park, including the distribution and use of harm reduction supplies, supervision, containment, and disposal practices, impacts on surrounding neighborhoods and calls for service, review contracts with tenants to make necessary revisions regarding harm reduction supplies, and further that staff report back to Council within 30 to 60 days with options to modify, supervise, relocate, or restrict supply distribution in a manner that reduces neighborhood impacts, ensure resident and public safety, mitigate displacement of substance use into public spaces. And further, that Council requires ongoing public reporting on neighborhood impacts and service outcomes related to Pathways on Park. Thank you.
Councillor Crew.
Thank you. I, Councillor Marjorie Crew, hereby provide notice that I will bring forward the following motion at the February 9th 2026 Council meeting for discussion and voting. Whereas the Residential Tenancy Act 2026 Ontario allows landlords to serve an N13 notice to end tenancy for the purpose of extensive renovations, demolition, or conversion of of a rental unit, and whereas inappropriate or bad faith use of N13 notices has contributed to the loss of affordable rental housing, displacement of tenants, and increased housing instability in communities across Ontario and in Chatham-Kent. And whereas housing stability and the preservation of affordable rental units are essential to well-being, economic diversity, and long-term sustainability. And whereas municipalities in Ontario, including the City of Hamilton, City of London, City of Toronto, have enacted N13 bylaws known as anti-renoviction bylaws to ensure that N13 notices are only used where genuinely warranted, requiring landlords to obtain a license and justify the need for vacancy before displacing tenants. Now therefore be it resolved that Council directs staff to prepare a report and draft bylaw, N13 licensing bylaw, for Council's consideration that would regulate the issuance of notices to end tenancy for renovations, Form N13, within the municipality that will prevent evictions. That the proposed bylaw establish a municipal approval and compliance framework for renovation-related displacement, requiring landlords to obtain licensing prior to undertaking renovations that require a unit to be vacant. Staff be directed to consult with tenancy advocacy groups, landlord representatives, housing experts in drafting the proposed bylaw, including consultation with communities who have implemented the N13 bylaw. And the draft bylaw be presented to Council no later than June 22nd, 2026 Council meeting, and including appropriate enforcement mechanisms, administrative fees, appeal processes, and compliance reporting, and to be consistent with other communities. I don't know why I write these so long. I so move.
Closed session reports. Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. Confidentiality in closed session meetings. Closed session meetings of council are held to discuss sensitive matters such as legal issues, personnel matters, or property negotiations. These sessions are governed by strict confidentiality to protect the interests of the municipality and individuals involved. Council members and staff are legally and ethically bound to maintain discretion, and any disclosure of information discussed in closed session may result in penalties or legal consequences. Closed session report for Monday, January 26, 2026. Council received information on labor relations or employee negotiations with regard to contract negotiations update, Section 239(2)D of the Municipal Act, labor relations or employee negotiations with regard to fire master plan update, Section 239(2)D of the Municipal Act, personal matters about identifiable individuals, labor relations, and employee negotiations, and a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on by the municipality with regard to special needs resourcing, Section 239(2)B, D, and K of the Municipal Act, and Council directed administration on personal matters about identifiable individuals with regard to encampment advisory committee appointments, Section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act. And Mayor Caniff, I so move.
Councillor Scott, you can second that, please?
Seconded.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
Councillor C. McGregor. Councillor C. McGregor, are you there? Okay, all votes are in. Motion passes 14-0.
Communication items. Councillor Finn and Councillor Doyle, can I get you to move these, please?
Happy to move.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Seeing none, motion passes. Non-agenda business. Councillor Story.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. The last couple of days with the wintry weather, we've certainly, I know I have, and I think a lot of the other councillors have too, have received some questions and comments about salt and how we're using salt in our winter response. Could someone from the Public Works and Engineering team perhaps clarify, just for everyone watching, what our status is with our salting and what we would normally use that for, what types of wintry conditions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Edward Solo, General Manager of Infrastructure and Engineering Services. Thanks for the question and the opportunity actually to clarify some of the misinformation that's out there on social media. We did send out a corporate communications earlier on today related to some of the issues that we see floating around on social media there. I'll start off by saying we do not have a salt shortage. Short answer. The long answer is, while we recognize there is a province-wide shortage of salt and some municipalities are facing that, that's not what we're experiencing here. Working with our supplier, we have been able to keep our stocks fairly, our piles stocked up pretty well. I would say overall, we're about 25% of our storage capacity. We do also have a backup, a large stockpile down in Kent Center, which we use as a backup for all of our shops. So we're doing pretty good. We get loads coming in on a weekly basis. We got 500 tons on Friday, another 500 tons today. I do want to touch upon the issue of the salt and how it works out there. Tonight is we do have extreme weather warning out there. We're anywhere between -20 to -30 with the wind chill. And it's a situation really where salt doesn't work. Once you get below -9, salt stops to work. And this temperature we have out there, it's no use actually putting salt down. That's why you'll see our plowers out there, and if there's snow, we're removing it. We are putting in some contingency plans if this goes longer term, potentially using some sand in our mix. But we do go out there when it's appropriate and put down salt. We did have to close Queen's Line last week, and we put a notice out related to that. That was again related to the icy conditions, and salt would not have worked in that condition there because it was just too cold. So that was a long answer, a short answer followed by a long answer, but the short answer really is we're well equipped. We have a good contingencies in place, and we're dealing with the winter conditions as best we can. It has been one of the harshest winters we've seen in probably 20 years. So.
Mr. Dubin, you had an add-on?
Yeah, Mr. Solder, if you can, we've heard from a couple of people concerned with the service level on Highway 40. Can you perhaps comment on what our role is with respect to Highway 40?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for the question. Highway 40 is underneath the Maintenance and Operation Authority of the Ministry of Transportation. So if any of our residents have concerns or comments about the state of Highway 40, outside of the area that's within Wallsburg and Chatham that we control, particularly in between the two locations and going down to the 401. There is the ministry contractor that would be best to direct those calls there. And the ministry does also put out warnings and conditions related to their facilities through their provincial 511 system. So I would encourage people to look at that. But if there's any comments on or issues related to that section of highway, I would direct them to the Ministry of Transportation and their contractor.
Councillor Crew.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I want to share some sad news with council. I'm sure everyone remembers Gwen Davis. Gwen and her friends used to sit sometimes back in those three chairs and then moved over to these three chairs for many, many years. And they came sharing their faith with us and praying for us as we made decisions in our community. Always had kind words to say to us, and it was always reassuring to see them. It wasn't so long ago that Gwen stopped coming to council, and that was noticed. And I found out that Gwen passed away on the 24th with her friends and family around her. And so on behalf of all of us, I'd like to extend our condolences to a very kind lady who spent many, many years wishing us well and wishing our community well and praying for us. And so offering our prayers to her family and friends in this time.
Thanks for that, Marjorie, or Councillor. We'll go to the first and second reading. Councillor Bondi. Oh, sorry, Councillor Scott, you go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I just wanted to That's something that was very important, that I know that there's been some communication with your office. Over the recent years of the reduced water levels and lack of dredging in Erie O, there's been some significant challenges and some serious risks to the larger vessels and the commercial fishing operations. I know Mayor Caniff has sent a letter along, but if it gets much worse, there's going to be no commercial fishing operations in Erie O, which will be a significant challenge and loss of revenue to our stores there and to a lot of the individuals that call Erie O home. So I know there's a lot of municipal councilors that sit on different boards. I know Councilor Anderson sits on, one as well that might have some communication, but it's really important that we look at getting this potentially dredged. If Mayor Caniff, if you can maybe in the future, Madam Clerk, include the letters that were all the letters that were sent in the future council package, that would be very appreciated, because I think that we have to continue to advocate, because if it starts to get even more challenging, then it's also going to affect the recreational utilization, and that is a significant revenue to the entire community of Chatham-Kent, as well as Erie O.
Okay, we'll go to the first, second reading then. Councillor Bonnie and McGrail, can I each move those, please?
So moved.
So seconded.
Any questions? Seeing none, motion approved. Third and final reading, Councillor B. McGregor and Councillor Hall.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any questions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Then we'll go into the closure of council. Councillor Hall, and if Councillor Allen, I can use wrap it up.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I move that Chatham-Kent Council adjourn to its next meeting to be held on Monday, February 2nd, 2026, and that Chatham-Kent Council authorize itself to meet in closed session on that day to discuss any matters permitted by the Municipal Act.
And second.
Anyone against closing up at 7:34? Seeing none, great. Stay warm, everyone.